Hi, my name's Paul Council and welcome to video 6 in the Mastering Money series. And today we're going to look at the evolution of the critical faculty and then the power of developing new thinking loops. Now in the last video we talked about the idea that the results that you're getting actually might be coming from signature thinking loops. And when you start to analyze those signature thinking loops, they might be thinking processes that are actually disallowing you to further those results. And so I talked about the importance of developing new signature thinking loops. Loops that really start with new clarity, that really have you moving forward with blueprints of extraordinary achievement, refining your money capabilities, immersing yourself in mentoring environments, and really influencing new possibilities. And I also introduced you to a quote by Buckminster Fuller. And if you've not met Buckminster Fuller before, I mean, he really is cited as one of the most influential and one of the most cleverest people of the last century. And he said, look, you never change things by fighting the existing reality. And when you think about it, that's exactly what most people try and do. They try and argue, or they try and fight, and they try and change the existing reality, but it's really pointless because it's coming from inside. And so the only way to change reality is from the inside. And so Buckminster Fuller said to change something, you've got to build a new model. And it's that new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Now, the problem with this is this thing called a critical faculty. Now, just imagine this. On the right hand of the picture here, we have a version of what I'll call the conscious mind. And let's say the conscious mind is yours, and you have this intention that you want to change, or you have this intention that you want to achieve economic and personal freedom, or you have this intention that you want to achieve things that are really important for you. And we've got to put those through to the subconscious mind. And so on the left-hand side, we've got the subconscious mind, and in between, we've got what the psychologists call this critical faculty. And the critical faculty is a very, very powerful psychological filtering mechanism, and it filters everything that comes from your conscious mind through to your subconscious mind, and it will delete anything that doesn't already line up with what the subconscious mind has already accepted. In other words, it acts like a really giant error detection mechanism. And so you can have these intentions that you want to change, but if you don't have what's operating in the subconscious mind accepting that intention, then it really is going to be filtered out, because what happens is an emotion is going to be created that is in line with your subconscious thoughts. And it's often those subconscious thoughts. Remember I talked about the iceberg. It's what's happening beyond the level of conscious awareness. It's those subconscious, it's that sort of inner mind chatter that prevents you often from taking the inspired action that will allow you to achieve the results. So it's important to understand the evolution and the function of your critical faculty. And it really has been designed to keep you safe. It's one of the safety survival mechanisms that has been developed over time. So what it does is it really keeps you in your comfort zone. But of course this creates a problem, because there's no growth if you don't move out of your comfort zone. And so by moving forward with new signature thinking loops, you also have to move forward with a new series of agreements. And one of the agreements is that you've got to be okay with being uncomfortable for a while, because it's when you're starting to move out of your comfort zone that you get just to the edge of that discomfort, and then when you start learning, and through repetition, you make that learning familiar to you, then that's when you start to take the next step. Now, if you think about terms of thinking loops, if we put all this into a thinking loop, we can often have this idea that you're uncomfortable as soon as you begin. And then if you allow your critical faculty to take over, your critical faculty will always have you moving back into your comfort zone, and so you don't progress from there. And so something has to intervene in that thinking loop, because if nothing intervenes in the thinking loop, then you can't progress from there. So something needs to intervene, and we've got to start developing a new thinking loop. And that thinking loop might begin with the idea that, look, if I stay with my old thinking, will only ever lead to my old results. So you've got to have a new commitment. You've got to have that commitment to perhaps only listen to those people who already have the results that you want. And then that leads you on to new motivation. And that motivation is to develop more skills which directly point to more profitability, because it's through profitability, it's through new learning, it's through new insights. And if you can start to immerse yourself into the mastermind environment, or immerse yourself into very supportive environments so that you can learn through repetition to implement, execute, and then optimize the new strategies that you're learning. And of course, that's the process of attending to your outcome. In other words, attending to your intention, because that's the real stage of hands-on learning. It's the learning by application. It's the learning by doing. It's the stage of literally mastering your million-dollar code. And if you do that well enough, and if you do that through repetition, then the reinforcement of repetition will then confirm your new results. And your new results, of course, are increased profitability, which is your intended outcome. Now that's all for me for this video, but stay tuned for video 7, where we'll talk about doing the right things, but then maybe something's still missing. So until then, it's bye for now.